An interesting piece of news came up, Mr. Black, this week. That a filing in Brazil, of all places, I don't know how somebody dug that shit up. Probably easier to dig up in Brazil, I guess, than somewhere else. But a filing in Brazil by Microsoft to the regulatory bodies there claimed that, and this is a quote from that document, Microsoft's ability to continue expanding Game Pass has been hampered by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth. And this is the next quote, Sony pays for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and other competing subscription services. That's a pretty hefty thing to have in a fucking court filing that they would be willing to mention anywhere. It wouldn't shock me if that was the case. We already know, like anything, that there are timed exclusives and things of that nature that would just stop a game reaching some other console for either a period of time or permanently, depending on how that license or that contract is filled out. It wouldn't shock me, but at the same time, the implications of this would be where what games are they blocking? And if it's and depending on what games, clearly they have to be some games that Microsoft are very interested in to file it with a regulatory body to say, hey, this is, I guess their idea is that this is anti-competitive behavior, to be outright signing stuff to block going to a service like Game Pass. Because maybe it's possible that the developers want to take it to Game Pass, but Sony's previous contracts with them are now worded in such a way, perhaps, that they're not able to put the game on the service, vice versa. And I'm sure Microsoft has done some shit like this to Sony in the past too. They're probably fucking each other as many ways as they can, because that's just kind of how all this shit works. I just found it kind of interesting that they specifically said in document that Sony pays for blocking rights. That is a very specific sentence. That's not like them hinting, like, oh, maybe Sony's got some backdoor shit, you know, stopping stuff from making it to the Game Pass. They're literally just saying outright, Sony pays for this shit to not make it to Game Pass. And so I would love to see how that story develops and see if we ever find out maybe what games they're referencing or to what degree Sony is getting involved in blocking some of this shit. Because that would definitely make it interesting, especially now that Sony has their own service similar to Game Pass. Clearly, Sony is going to want some games that are more or less exclusive to their service and not just allow kind of like I guess like a Netflix situation. Like there's some stuff on Netflix that Netflix probably has licensed to specifically that they haven't produced themselves that aren't allowed to be put on other platforms. And I guess this is kind of where the streaming service shit for games is also going to be headed, where people are going to be fighting over properties to get their stuff put on their services one way or the other. I think this is also possibly just Sony like, oh my god, Call of Duty is sort of kind of going away, and also we lost Elder Scrolls and everything out of Bethesda. Where do we draw a line? Where do we stop the bleeding? We have to do something. What do you, by the way, here's a question for you just to get you involved, because I don't want you to fall asleep at the wheel. You have to sell out here soon. I have to wake you up before you sell out.
I'm awake.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Because I know I'm putting you to sleep with some of this talk. What do you think? What do you think is the bigger loss for Sony as a platform? Even so, Call of Duty, even though Call of Duty is still going to be allowed on PlayStation, there is obviously going to be certain content that will be exclusive now to Microsoft's platforms. Otherwise, you wouldn't spend $70 billion to buy out Activision Blizzard. So do you think Call of Duty and that deal, even though it's technically still kind of going to be on the PlayStation or capable of, do you think that hurts them more, or do you think that losing Bethesda's properties entirely, as in they're not going to be on PlayStation, which do you think hurts them more? A semi-loss on a property the size of Call of Duty, or a full loss on the Bethesda front for things like Elder Scrolls and possibly something like Fallout?
Probably the Bethesda thing. Yeah, probably the Bethesda thing. I mean, there's a lot of people that play Bethesda games. A lot.
True.
Whether, you know, I know we like to shit on Bethesda, but
they sell games.
They sell games. And They also have games that can be replayed a lot.
True.
You know, Bethesda games are kind of like on Netflix, like watching Friends. You know, it's like, yeah, it's old, but it's got a cult following. You can always kind of go back and play it. It makes you feel good. So that probably hurts. That probably hurts them more in the long run. You know, people that have a PlayStation are going to play Call of Duty on PlayStation regardless.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not like everybody has to buy an Xbox in order to play Call of Duty. If that was the case, then yeah, fuck. I mean, you know, that'd be a big hit. I still think it'll be temporary. I think that it's only going to be a matter of time. It might take a couple of years, and you'll see Call of Duty just strictly on Game Pass. But once again,
so you think they go that route instead of, like, let's say, have specific content that's only available on the Microsoft series of platforms, but then leave the base game or whatever on PlayStation, kind of as like a thing where, like, hey, yeah, you can play it over there, but this is where you get the full Call of Duty experience. Because I think we've talked about this, well, we definitely talked about this before, where you say Call of Duty is one of those games where it's like, you're buying it for the platform wherever your friends are buying it for the platform. So does Microsoft kind of leave it available everywhere to, like, maximize their gains in that regard, but then incentivize so that when your friends move, you're like, oh, fuck, well, and Game Pass is already a pretty neato deal, maybe I should just join my friends over there. Do you think they hedge it, or do you really think they're gonna, in like 3-4 years, just say, fuck it, Game Pass only, no PlayStation? Because there's positives and negatives to both of those moves,
I think
right?
it depends. I think it depends on how things are going. It depends on how much money they can make and how much money they do make having games on Sony. Or how much they're losing.
So they need like a probationary period to figure out what they're gonna still make while it's on Sony.
I think so. I think I think it's just one of those things where they're just gonna have to play it by ear and see how this thing goes. And trust me, if it makes more money, they're gonna do it.
It's gonna stay there.
It's gonna stay there. If it doesn't make as much, then it won't. It's just one of those things where you're gonna find out. They're gonna see how well it does and kind of go from there. I mean, that's what I would do.
Do you think, if that's the case, and this is just us having fun, just imagining the possibilities of the future now, Call of Duty, as we've discussed as well recently, with the failure of Battlefield, and that's a failure with a capital F. I don't know if you get a bigger F than Battlefield's fail. I mean, I guess the competing F is Halo Infinite. They're battling it out for bigger F. But those are kind of like, because Fortnite's its own thing. It's in its own nebula. Like, I think of Fortnite now as like Nintendo of the shooter world, the live service world. Nothing touches Fortnite. Fortnite just exists. And then everyone else is like down doing whatever the fuck else is below them. So, in the big three, if the big three was going to be like a Call of Duty, a Battlefield, a Halo, in terms of the live service games that aren't Fortnite moving forward, in that space, because again, Valorant doesn't take up the same space as like a Call of Duty, for example. Do you think if Call of Duty went exclusively to a Microsoft platform like that, that maybe the upshot to that would be that Sony might feel like they have to actually invest to make a competing product at that point, to have a killer app shooter on their platform? Do you think that it would end up in the long term, like 5-6 years from now, resulting in like maybe Sony trying to bring a Killzone or something else back out of the vault to try and compete with a live server shooter? Or do you think they just cut their losses and just accept the fact that they don't have anything on their platform other than Fortnite just being there to compete with Xbox's now ownership of Call of Duty?
Yeah, I don't foresee it. What would you say, Killzone?
Well, like, I'm just using it as an example because that's like an existing IP that they had that was well received. Like, just something to bring back to like have a killer app shooter on their platform, because if they lose Call of Duty, they don't really have any other killer. They don't have Halo. Not that Halo's fucking killing it for Microsoft, but like Killzone was kind of their Halo, and so, you know, I just used it as an example for that reason. But But maybe that's because like SOCOM doesn't really
like
exist anymore.
Titanfall or something, you know?
Yeah,
Something crazy.
Oh, they're going to be the ones to go to EA and be like, all right, guys, I know you're focusing on Apex, but
we need a Titanfall.
We need a Titanfall over here.
Maybe it's Apex. Maybe Apex goes. Who knows? Right? I mean, it's possible. I don't know. Just thinking of a world where Call of Duty isn't on Sony is kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy, isn't it?
And the thing is, it's possible that can happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know what kind of contracts have been signed, what kind of things are going on in the background.
Like how long those contracts kind of go out.
Yeah, like we don't. I have no idea. Sony kind of needs Call of Duty, so they'll probably do anything and everything to make it so that it doesn't exclusively go to Xbox. But if Xbox owns the rights,
eventually those contracts run out.
Yeah, what the fuck are you gonna do, right? I think probably worst case, if Xbox decides it's all going on Game Pass, everybody needs Game Pass. I mean, they're gonna piss off a lot of people that like Call of Duty from Sony because now they got to go and buy Game Pass. They got to go get an Xbox if they prefer to play it on console. They're not going to be happy about it. They'll do it because they're addicted to Call of Duty. So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, the price of food is going up. You need to eat. So you should probably go and do this. You're going to, you're going to be salty while you're doing it, but you're going to do it. And then after you eat it for a while, you're going to just forget that you've gotten fucked and you're just going to move on with your life because you and your friends got to go over there and play it. Also, it might even be a cool play where, say you're in the workplace and, Joe, Bob, and Ron are all playing Call of Duty on Xbox, and Susie, Jimmy, and Bobby are playing it on PlayStation.
These are all great names for Call of Duty players, by the way. It's amazing.
And then Microsoft goes, hey, guess what? This next Call of Duty is going to be exclusively on Game Pass. Well, I forget the three names that I came up with there.
Susie's in there for sure.
And Bob or whatever I said. They're going to be forced to go and buy an Xbox if they want to continue to play.
Yeah.
The other flip side of that is now they no longer have to worry about, well, these three play over here and these three play over here. Now the whole workforce is playing together, no matter what, right? So it's like you're salty in the beginning, but then you realize like, oh shit, because everybody's got friends that own sort of one or the other, and that's just how it is. Like my buddy Wayne, he plays his on the PlayStation. I got a couple of friends that played on the Xbox, and to just then all play suddenly together, you'll forget pretty quickly. I just kind of got strong-armed into going to buy all this shit, and then you realize like, oh wait, I got Game Pass. I got all these other games too. Like this isn't just Call of Duty anymore. It's like I made this purchase, but holy fuck. Whoa. Okay. So yeah, I think super worst case scenario. If Sony's this desperate, Sony will pay an astronomical amount of money to Microsoft to keep the game on Sony. So they will pay a fucking hefty fee to have that. And in a way, as long as that money that they're making off Sony, which I think is the route that it'll end up going eventually, it will offset the money that they will lose from people coming over, and you don't have to piss off everybody, and you look like a savior because you played ball and you're all about the games no matter what, even if it isn't on their platform, and you look like the good guy, and everybody's happy. People can still continue to play over there. The ones that want to jump ship and get more value with Game Pass can. Sony still has the game on the platform. They're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars off a deal, maybe billions of dollars off a deal, and they're going to make their money regardless. So they just win. I think they just win regardless. But if it makes a fuck ton of money, they will remove it if they legally able to do it. But I think Sony will end up forking out something to keep it on. Long story short.
Yeah. I think that's probably the way it would go. And like you mentioned there, it plays into Microsoft's narrative of we want as many people to play games on wherever the fuck they want to play them, etc., etc. And like Phil Spencer's idea of we're gonna do that, but we're just gonna try and make our offering so fucking irresistible that yeah, you can play it somewhere else, but why would you play it there when you can come over here and get all this other shit alongside of it for basically less money? And so I think that's probably, I would agree that's probably the direction it is likely to go. But what will also be interesting moving forward in the numbers that came out, I can't remember them specifically, but Call of Duty is down bad right now. They've lost, they're hemorrhaging players, like in the millions, currently. The current version of Warzone is killing them. Not very many people like it. A lot of people are just kind of begrudgingly playing it, and millions of people have stopped playing because they're just not happy with it. And I think a lot of it, as far as I can tell, the general consensus that I've seen tends to be less about the usual, oh, this game's broken or whatever the fuck, and it's more about the fact that it seems like the vast majority, clearly, of the Call of Duty community is interested not in World War II anymore. They just want modern weaponry, modern guns.
Yeah, it's played out, man. It's played out.
They don't want Call of Duty to go back again and dip back into the World War II well. And so that seems maybe the series will distance themselves from that at this point, and keep it away, or stick to like campaign only related stuff and then just leave the guns as is, or something along those lines. But either way, yeah, they are in a bit of a pickle right now. And they have to find a way to clamber back some of those players.